Meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board to order. I'd like to welcome everybody. I see we have a young lady here. It's got some land she wants rezoned, so we'll get to you, honey, pretty soon. So we welcome you all. We've got a couple of people that are absent, but the requests for excused absence are Greg Monroe, our chairman, and Mr. Robert Briley. Is there any other?
That's all I had, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Okay. What's your pleasure?
To excuse us too?
Yeah, to
Yes,
excuse.
I make a motion that we approve.
I second.
Okay, Peggy and Rondé. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next item on there is item 4, approval of the agenda. It's pretty straightforward. Is there a motion on that, please?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mike and Marjorie. Approval of the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. It's our agenda. Okay, the first two items, Brian, you want to speak to them or just keep right on going?
We're at the approval of the minutes now?
Yeah.
So yeah, we got the approval of the March minutes and the June minutes. I hope you guys had a chance to review them. If you got any questions, I'd be happy to answer any.
The only thing Marjorie, you said you didn't receive them, right?
My email, it wouldn't pull up. You sent it, with the thing,
Yes, ma'am.
my email, when I clicked on it, it wouldn't bring up.
Yeah, if you'll let me know if that in the future, I'd be happy to drop a hard copy off at your house. I've got a set here if you want to see them now.
I would appreciate that, because that happened last time, like, it just didn't pull it up.
Sometimes they'll do it.
No. Rondé, did you get it?
That's just the presentation.
Just a minute.
Some,
I got a chance to look at it.
Okay.
Ms. Crawford, sometimes when they get large, like some of the minutes, it makes it harder for that device, for your computer to open those. And like Brian said, if he doesn't, just let him know or me, and we'll get a copy to you.
I would appreciate that.
They're quite involved minutes. Hopefully, most of us have got them. Let's deal with one month at a time. March. Is there any additions or corrections to the March minutes? Hearing none, I'd like to have a motion to accept the March minutes.
motion.
to approve.
Peggy and Rondé?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to the June minutes. If you haven't, sorry, Marjorie, we're going to keep right on going. Most of us have read them. Okay, right on
I'm
going.
not gonna wait on him.
Okay, any additions or corrections
I'll trust all y'all. Go ahead, whatever.
to the June minutes? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
And I'll second it again.
Mike and Peggy. Motion of accepting the June minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. New business, Brian.
All right, so the only thing under new business we have tonight is the final plat for Villa Grande, Section B, or Phase 1, Section B. So this is located out on Red Forbes Road. That's north of its intersection with NC 903. Parent parcel number is 82581. So this will be 30 lots on 10 acres. The zoning is R10. So a little bit of history on the site. So this one goes back a little ways. So it started back in 2015 with a P&Z recommendation of approval of the preliminary plat. Council approved that preliminary plat in September 14th, 2015, and the construction plans were approved for Phase 1 in 2016. So this is Phase 1, Section B. There's a site aerial for the site, so you can see this is the first phase of Section 1. The first section of Phase 1. These are actually built out now. It's a little bit old of aerial. And then there's the plat that's over. So this will be Section B here. So That's pretty much all I have for a presentation. So the process from now will be, you guys will recommend approval or disapproval to council. Council will hear August 19th at their regularly scheduled meeting. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have at this time. If you have any more technical questions, John Thomas, the project engineer, is here as well. So
This is basically the same size. A and B are about the same size sections, aren't they?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I know one time, some time back, we talked about egress, a street or a road that would run back out onto 903, I believe it was.
As far as access goes, another access entry point. So the project developer, they have provided stub out streets. Granted, they won't come to fruition in this phase. So you're still only going to have one section, but they've met the requirements of the subdivision ordinance to provide those stub out streets to adjoining properties.
Brian, is this take up all the property that's owned by this group?
No, sir. So you can actually see, so it'll actually go back around here too. So you'll see that there'll actually be a cul-de-sac here with the phase 2 will go here. So you'll see kind of this will actually kind of horseshoe around and then it'll go back in here. So you'll see quite a few more lots in here. I can't remember the total build out, John.
20, 30, something like that.
So you're looking at another, what, 40 or 50 lots after this?
Probably so.
Will that area, that second phase, will that tie into a road there?
I wish I'd known you were going to ask that question. I'd have brought a different map, so we could put it up there. I don't wish you could show the whole site.
Let's see if I can.
When we had this phase approved, it was a loop road with no stub outs. There was just one entrance coming in to the, I don't know, 50 or 60 lots or whatever we had in there. But those two roads that you see going like that looped back on themselves and came on out. We came back a year or so ago and we modified that and added the Harris Farm to it, if you remember. And so we modified beyond this to encompass that. When we did that, just past this road on the right that you saw going up, we have a stub out to the adjacent property, I guess to the northeast, that will eventually go out to Red Forbes Road once that property is developed. As you're going around, yeah, this might be a little bit better. Use your pointer.
Yeah, it's right there.
Too good at these things. Right now, our phase that we're asking for approval stubs right here and stubs right there. The first project we had approved in here on all this was this property here, and these two roads came in, looped around, and went back out. And that was the extent of it. We've since added this piece of property here to the development. And so the work that we did here and here for tonight is unchanged from the original. The new that you've approved goes around like this and comes over here with a cul-de-sac here. And I believe there's a short cul-de-sac here and another cul-de-sac here. As a result of this reconfiguration, we have a stub out to the adjacent property right here. That once this property is developed here, and we don't own this property yet, but we have option on that piece right there. The road coming in here, there'll be a stub out here to go out to Red Forbes Road here. Right now, that's a power line easement where there's a couple of poles right in here, but that's the intent, stub out here. Over here, where our road comes around like this, cul-de-sacs, right about in here we have a stub out to the property to the north, which we do not own either. All right, that's two stub outs we have. coming off of this road here, we have another cul-de-sac that comes in here, and it cul-de-sacs right here with a stub out to get into this property and ultimately get back out to, I think this is Precaution Road. So we have 3 stub outs in this property. That's the best that we can do right now.
Can you take a minute and speak to the plans of the subdivision for green space, playgrounds, and what retention funds?
The rec area, we're paying a fee in lieu of on that.
Paying fee.
And there is some, the overall development, we do have some green space in the development. There was a piece,
Oh, go back to
Mr. Harris and his wife owned this tract here, not excluding the houses. I think they live in one of these houses, but they basically own this tract right in here. There was a little wedge right here, kind of where I'm drawing, that was deeded to them from the Shivers division many, many moons ago. And the way that these were, we couldn't get clear title to that little wedge. So there's gonna be some green space right in here that's not being used for anything. We can't put it in lots because we can't get title to it, even though we did buy it, but there's no clear title to it. And Mr. Harris apparently has a lot of, or his parents who used to live here had a lot of children or something, and they're scattered all over the place. So we just cut that out of the lots, but we did make it, still make it part of the subdivision.
So now that green space won't be developed until late into the subdivision being almost completed then, correct?
One reason we stopped where we did, because we were, at the time we let those contracts, or getting ready to let those contracts for bids, we were actually gonna do more. That's about the point where we made configuration changes to the subdivision. So we didn't wanna go beyond that. And, so that's why we stopped. Otherwise, we might have done 50 lots. We'd have probably finished it out on the loop, but we held it back. The way things are going right now, this project is like, I don't know, a year behind. There's been some contractor issues, and of course there was some weather issues, and we still don't have it paved. We were supposed to pave it this week, and hopefully we will. And then it'll be finished up in the next week. But we should have the anticipation that the next phase will probably finish it out, the way things are going right now. Nobody can get lots on the ground. The builders are begging for lots. So I have a feeling that hopefully in the next year we'll be just finishing the whole thing out.
Question, this is just for my information, sir. With the recreation fee that the developer pays, is that prorated on each phase?
I can tell you about it.
Yeah.
So it's based on an equation. So basically it's 1,200 square feet per dwelling unit. So pretty much you're looking at, you take 1,200 square feet per lot. You take that and multiply it into an equation based on market value, and you get that number. So I think the final fee on this one was in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. That goes directly to our Park and Recs fund, so they can use that for their purposes. I can't remember the exact number, but it's something like that.
So it's, in other words, it is payable upon approval of the plat, basically, in development of that.
Yeah, so when they submit their final plan, their final plats, their fees are due. So you're looking at your recreation fees are due. Your if it's on our electric system, electric facilities, your sewer acreage fees, all that stuff is coming to us in the final plat stage.
I don't mean to be picky or anything, but I do have a question on the streetlights, and hopefully they'll be matching what we're doing in town with LED streetlights.
They will be. They will be. Yeah. Well, I would say that, but it's on GUC's GUC's
Greenwood
grid.
Utilities, not at all.
So
And I think they are LEDs that goes in there now. Most of the municipalities are switching over that, and most of the subdivisions that we're doing.
and I think they're finding LEDs are more cost beneficial to them. Not only do they're more attractive, but like I said, the cost and the maintenance is lower. So
Now they're also the decorative type too, aren't they? More lantern.
Yeah, these,
Type.
I just
I mean-
wrote in there, and I can't remember what I saw, but I think
I
they're the
wanna say
lantern
that's what
type,
it was last time I
colonial
was
lantern
out there.
type black poles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are there any further questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve fine.
Second.
Peggy and Rhonda. I heard right. Motion to approve the, Villa Grande Phase 2, Section B final plat. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seven, full approval.
Thank y'all so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, since she used to do tobacco on that farm.
My cousin, Foreman, he put in the back and I had to walk back.
This be a hot day's work right now. Good gracious.
Brian, you got a report?
So I don't really have a whole lot for you guys. I will speak about the comprehensive land use plan. We are moving right along with that. Hope to have a final draft document completed sometime next month. May not get it to you guys in August, but hopefully we'll have it to you in September and then to council based on your recommendations to council in October. Still working out those logistics with the consultant. We had a really good public meeting last week. We had about 30 people show up, which in the scheme of things is usually pretty good for a land use plan. It's not very, it's not one of those things that just jumps out at people to come to. So when you can get a good crowd like that, it's always good. Got some good feedback. You guys can see my monthly report in your agenda. You can see to date, we've issued zoning permits for 40 home sites. It's kind of low, but it just as Mr. Thomas just spoke to, we don't have any lots on the ground. So I feel like if we had some lots out there, this place would be booming as fast as we can get them on the ground. So hopefully with this final plat being platted, the Holly Grove one being platted, we're going to start seeing some uptick in our permitting. But other than that, that's all I got. I'll answer any questions you guys have.
Brian, have you got any updates on the Bill Clark subdivision and also the, with the autism campus?
So autism, they're still working on their fundraising. They're going to have their annual dinner fundraiser in October. I should be getting some documentation on that. Probably give you guys the option to try to attend that if you wish. But Eli's Ridge, they are having some issues with trying to figure out logistics on some utilities out there. From what I'm understanding, they're going to be probably mid to late fall, possibly even turn of the new year before they get out there and start doing site work. So.
I'm going to ask another one.
Sure.
I serve on the same board which you referred to, the planning.
The steering committee.
Steering committee, yes. And that is an extensive document. And I would hope that we would have a meeting just dedicated to that because it's going to take some time to get through that and understand it.
Yeah, as far as the planning and zoning board.
Planning board, because
Yeah, so typically what we're going to see is once we kind of get it finalized, we'll take it to the steering committee, let them have some time to consume it, peruse it, get comments on that, and make sure the steering committee itself is good. Then we'll bring it to P&Z. Probably give it to you guys a good 2 weeks in advance. Hopefully you guys will have a good time, good amount of time to get in and get the details and go through with a fine-tooth comb, and then we'll get here, have a presentation, just kind of sit down and go through it together, and then figure out if there's anything that needs to be put in there. Hopefully by that time we've worked out all the kinks, and so by the time you guys see it, it's just pretty much putting it in front of council and letting them put their stamp of approval on it too. The good thing about when it gets to council, we've got council members on the steering committee. They've been involved in our public outreach, so they're well versed on it as well. So by the time they get to see it, hopefully nothing's going to scare them or pop out new that hadn't been already kind of gone over. So, but I totally agree. That's going to be an in-depth one. Is something we don't want to just you know, when you look at a broad plan like that, it's totally impractical to think you're going to get every single situation covered. So the more eyes on it, the better. The more scenarios we can bring up, the better. Just in the past couple of months, we've had a couple of developers come in the office and look at a piece of property, and we kind of compare it to what we already have. And we're like, well, now we kind of see where our plan kind of falls short on what the development community wants. So like I said, it's just kind of it's impractical to think you're ever going to get that thing to make sense up front until you actually start kind of, you know, ground truthing it. So the more, like I said, the more eyes on it, the better. So.
So basically, you're saying you're gonna have a dedicated meeting for that?
The
other zoning group?
if you guys wish, but I mean, if not, it's just a dedicated, it'll be a big chunk of that meeting. So, I mean, if it falls on a date, I mean, obviously, we take care of business where we can, but I mean, it's gonna be a big chunk of that meeting, so.
Thank you. Is there any further questions? Okay. Fine, is that pretty much everything?
That's all I got.
Okay, comments from the board? Mr. Hines? Ms. Fagan? No further. Hines?
Yes, actually, I had noticed that there was a type of vehicle, a Winnebago, parked on a residential property, and I was wondering, what is the procedure for initiating something like that to be parked on your property?
So, if I'm understanding you right, somebody's got a Winnebago, like parked on their residential lot.
Yes, right
Is it-
beside their home, not
So-
on the street.
Okay, so that would, off-street parking is fine, as long as if they're not set up living in it, then it's not an issue. We really can't stop people from parking their vehicles on their property, as long as they're not, breaking any rules as far as, you know, occupancy and all that stuff. There will be some police power in there as well, if it doesn't run, if it's got, expired tag, all that stuff could come to play. But basically, if you just had an RV sitting beside your house and it's there for storage purposes, if it's off the street and it's beyond the structure itself, then we can't really do anything about it. There's no ordinance that would disallow that. But like I said, if they're tying into the home's power supply, if they're hooking up to like a quick connect somewhere, I don't know how they would do that. And Mike would know a little bit more about that. But if they started trying to use the town's utilities, then we'd have an issue, and they wouldn't be allowed to do that, obviously.
So it's fine that you can park, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have wheels or anything, it's just like the camper park.
If you don't mind, just shoot me an email, and we'll look into it. That's something that it may be a special set of circumstances we can. That's something I'd probably have to put eyes on and figure out if an ordinance if the zoning ordinance would take effect on that or would regulate that.
I will shoot you
All
an
right.
email to give you more information.
Sounds good.
Mike, any comment?
No, sir.
Ms. Marjorie?
Well, I wanted to ask, next month we were changing the time of our meeting. in
Right.
August.
August 12th is going to be the
It's
meeting.
gonna be on the 12th, okay.
Okay, I wasn't here for the previous meeting.
Oh, yeah. So, and I'll tell you the reason behind it, just to catch everybody up if we forgot. But council, there's a conference the week before. They're all going to the NTE conference. Is that right, Don?
No, electricity.
Electricity's conference.
Same time though, just a different day.
Same time, just a different day, just a week in advance of what we usually would. So instead of the third Monday, it'll be the second Monday. But I'll send out a reminder,
Okay.
make sure everybody's not forgetting.
Okay, any further questions? Anything from Ms. Fleming? No? Questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Mike?
I second the motion.
Mike and Ron. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Okay, adjourn.
Mr. Keely, I thought you were supposed to hit the gavel for us to adjourn.
Mm-hmm.